What if the reason your life feels out of control is because you've never actually taken control of yourself? Not once. Not seriously. You keep blaming circumstances, people, timing, but deep down, you know the truth is uglier. You are undisciplined. You react instead of decide. You drift instead of command. And it's costing you everything. If you're still here, it means something inside you is tired of pretending. Good. This isn't for the comfortable. This is for the ones who feel the quiet shame of wasted potential. You wake up with plans, but your actions betray you. You say you'll change, but your habits laugh behind your back. And every night, you negotiate with your own disappointment. That ends now, because control is not something you find. It's something you take. Violently, deliberately, without apology. Most people never understand this. They think control means controlling the world. It doesn't. It means controlling your response to it. That's the difference between a weak man and a dangerous one. If you understand that, subscribe. Not for motivation, for transformation, because what comes next will strip you down to the truth. You are not tired because life is hard. You are tired because you lack structure. You lack discipline. You lack control over your impulses. You say you want success, but you serve comfort. You say you want peace, but you feed chaos. Every distraction you entertain is a vote against the person you claim you want to become. Read that again. You don't become powerful by thinking differently. You become powerful by responding differently. Someone insults you. You react emotionally. You lose. Something doesn't go your way. You complain. You lose again. Another day wasted. Another excuse created. Another version of you buried. Control is not glamorous. It's silent, cold, unforgiving. It doesn't care about your mood. It doesn't negotiate with your feelings. And that's why most people never achieve it. They want comfort and greatness at the same time. That's impossible. You either control yourself, or you are controlled by everything else. There is no middle ground. Right now, you are being controlled. By your phone, by your emotions, by your fears, by your need for validation. And you call that living. No, that's slavery. And the worst part? You volunteered for it. Because discipline feels painful in the moment. But regret is a lifetime sentence. You feel it when you see others move forward. You feel it when you realize time is gone. You feel it when you face the truth alone. You could have been more. That sentence will haunt you if you don't change now. Here's the first truth you need to accept. You are not special. You are not exempt from effort. You are not entitled to success. And nobody is coming to save you. Let that sink in. Because the moment you accept that, you become dangerous. You stop waiting. You stop complaining. You stop explaining. And you start executing. Second truth. Your emotions are not commands. They are suggestions. You feel lazy? Irrelevant. You feel tired? Move anyway. You feel scared? Good. That means you're close to something that matters. Weak people obey their emotions. Strong people observe them and act regardless. That's control. And control creates power. Third truth. Silence is strength. You talk too much. You explain too much. You reveal too much. Every word you waste leaks energy. The disciplined man speaks less, observes more, moves in silence. While others announce plans, he executes them. While others seek attention, he builds results. And when he finally speaks, carries weight, because it's backed by action. Fourth truth. Your environment is shaping you. Look around. Is it building you or breaking you? Every person you tolerate, every habit you allow, every distraction you justify is either sharpening you or dulling you. There is no neutral. And if you're honest, you've been choosing comfort over growth. Again, and again, and again. Fifth truth. Suffering is not your enemy. It's your teacher. You avoid pain. You run from discomfort. You hide from struggle. And that's exactly why you stay weak. Because strength is built in resistance, not in ease. The moment you stop avoiding suffering, you start evolving. Now stop reading for a second. Let it hit you. Everything you want is on the other side of what you keep avoiding. Comment control if you understand that. Not because it sounds good, but because you feel it. Because something inside you knows. This is the truth you've been running from. Now we go deeper. Control starts with awareness. You cannot master what you refuse to see. And right now, you are blind to your own patterns. You don't notice how often you procrastinate. You don't notice how quickly you get distracted. You don't notice how easily you give in. But those small moments are shaping your entire life. Every time you choose easy, you weaken your mind. Every time you delay action, you reinforce hesitation. Every time you avoid discomfort, you train yourself to stay average. And then you wonder why nothing changes. This is not bad luck. This is not fate. This is a pattern. Your pattern. And patterns don't break with motivation. They break with discipline. Cold, consistent, relentless discipline. Not when you feel like it. Not when it's convenient. But every time. Especially when it's hard. Because that's where control is forged. In the moments where nobody is watching. In the decisions nobody applauds. In the resistance nobody sees. That's where you either rise, or you remain exactly where you are. Stuck, waiting, wasting, and time does not care. Time keeps moving, with or without your progress, with or without your permission. So the real question is not, can you change? Will you finally take control? Because if you don't, nothing else matters. Not your dreams, not your plans, not your potential. All of it means nothing without control. And deep down, you already know that. You've always known. You just didn't want to face it. Until now, this is where it begins. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now, right here, right after this moment. Because the person you become next depends on the decision you make now. And here's the truth most people will never accept. You don't need more information. You need more discipline. You don't need another plan. You need execution. You don't need motivation. You need control. Everything else is just noise. We're not done. You think control is about big decisions. It's not. It's about the small moments you keep ignoring. Waking up when you said you would, but choosing comfort instead. Starting work, then escaping into distraction. Saying just 5 minutes and losing an entire hour. These are not small failures. They are betrayals. Each one tells your mind, you cannot be trusted. And once your mind stops trusting you, discipline collapses. That's why you feel stuck. Not because life is hard, but because you've trained yourself to quit. Over and over again. So now, even when you want to move, you hesitate. Because deep down, you don't believe yourself anymore. That's the real damage. Not failure. Self-betrayal. And the only way out is through ruthless honesty. No excuses. No soft language. No comforting lies. You look at your life, and you call it what it is. Undisciplined. Unfocused. Uncontrolled. That's not an insult. That's a starting point. Because truth is the foundation of power. And right now, you need to rebuild yourself from the ground up. Brick by brick. Decision by decision. You don't fix your life in a day. You fix it in moments. One controlled action at a time. You wake up on time. That's 1. You resist distraction. That's 2. You finish what you start. That's 3. Simple, but not easy. Because your mind will fight you. It will whisper, skip it. Rest more. You deserve a break. And if you listen, you lose again. So here's the shift. You stop negotiating with weakness. You don't argue with it. You don't entertain it. You shut it down. Immediately, like a command. Because that's what this is. You are taking command of your mind. Not asking. Not hoping. Commanding. 6th truth. Clarity comes from action. Not thinking. You spend too much time in your head. Planning. Overanalyzing. Waiting for the right moment. There is no perfect moment. There is only now. And action creates clarity. Movement creates direction. You don't need to see the whole path. You just need to take the next step. And then the next. And then the next. Until momentum replaces doubt. Seventh truth. Discipline is identity. You don't try to be disciplined. You become the kind of person who doesn't break promises to himself. That's the shift. From actions to identity. Because once it becomes who you are, it stops being a struggle. A disciplined man doesn't debate. He executes. A focused mind doesn't wander. It directs. A controlled person doesn't react. He chooses. So who are you? Be honest. Because your actions are already answering that question. Every single day. Eighth truth. Your attention is your most valuable asset. And right now, it's being stolen. By noise. By content. By meaningless stimulation. You scroll. You consume. You escape. And you call it relaxation. But it's not rest. It's avoidance. You're running from effort. From discomfort. From responsibility. And every time you do, you weaken your ability to focus. Which means, you weaken your ability to build anything meaningful. Control your attention, and you control your life. Lose it, and everything else follows. So start cutting. Cut distractions. Cut useless habits. Cut anything that pulls you away from your purpose. Yes, it will feel uncomfortable. Good. That means it's working. Ninth truth. Consistency beats intensity. You don't need to go all out for one day. You need to show up every day, even when it's boring, especially when it's boring, because success is built in repetition, not in bursts of motivation. You don't become strong by trying hard once. You become strong by refusing to stop, day after day, without drama, without excuses. That's control. And that's what most people will never have, because they want results without repetition, growth without discomfort, power without discipline. And life doesn't work like that. 10th truth. You are running out of time, not someday. Now, every hour wasted is a piece of your life gone forever. And you feel it, that quiet pressure, that subtle anxiety, that voice in your head saying, you should be doing more. That voice is right, but you silence it with distractions, with excuses, with delay. And the longer you ignore it, the louder regret becomes, until one day, it's all you hear, and by then, it's too late. So answer this. How many more days will you waste? How many more chances will you ignore? How many more versions of yourself will you bury? Because make no mistake, every time you choose comfort, you kill the person you could have been. Slowly, quietly, but permanently. Let that sit with you. Feel it. Because pain, when faced directly, becomes fuel. And you need that fuel right now, to burn away weakness, to destroy hesitation, to rebuild discipline. This is not about feeling good. This is about becoming dangerous, to your old habits, to your excuses, to the version of you that keeps holding you back. And that version is still alive, still whispering, still trying to pull you back. But now, you see it. Now, you recognize it. And that changes everything. Because awareness gives you power, and power gives you control. We're not finished. What comes next will decide if you actually change or go back to sleep. Now it gets sharper. Because knowledge without application is self-deception. And you've been lying to yourself for too long. You read, you listen, you feel inspired, and then you do nothing. That cycle is killing you, not instantly, but slowly, like a quiet decay of character. The ancient Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself not to impress others, because he knew the real battle wasn't public. It was internal. You don't lose your life in one moment. You lose it in fragments, through hesitation, through indulgence, through lack of control. And every fragment you lose, you never get back. So stop romanticizing potential. Potential means nothing without execution. A blade that never cuts is useless. A mind that never acts is wasted. You don't need more ideas. You need proof. Proof in your actions. proof in your consistency, proof in your discipline, and that proof is built daily, not when you feel ready, but when you feel resistance, because resistance is the signal, not to stop, but to move. This is where most people fail. They interpret discomfort as danger, but it's not. It's growth, and avoiding it is choosing stagnation. Seneca warned that we suffer more in imagination than reality. Look at your life. How much time do you waste thinking about doing something instead of doing it? How many scenarios have you created in your mind that never even happened? That's not intelligence. That's fear disguised as thought, and it's draining your power, because every second spent overthinking is a second not spent executing. And execution is the only thing that changes reality. You don't think your way into discipline. You act your way into it. You don't wait for confidence. You build it through repetition. That's the law. Not motivation, not inspiration. Action. Relentless, controlled action. Now understand this shift. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of them. A thought says, skip today. You answer, no. A thought says, this is hard. You answer, continue. A thought says, you can do it later. You answer, now. That separation is control, and without it, you are a puppet, pulled by impulses, directed by emotion, living without command. That ends here, because you are stepping into awareness, and awareness destroys illusions, the illusion that you have time, the illusion that tomorrow is guaranteed, the illusion that effort can be postponed without consequence. Can't. Every delay has a cost. Every excuse has a price, and you've been paying it, in missed opportunities, in lost confidence, in silent regret. But here's the shift most people avoid. You must become uncomfortable with your current self, not hate, but rejection. You reject laziness. You reject distraction. You reject weakness, not emotionally, but through action. You don't say, I shouldn't do this. You simply stop doing it. That's power. No drama, no negotiation, just elimination. Epictetus taught that some things are within your control, and some are not. Simple, but you ignore it. You waste energy on what you can't change. Other people's opinions, external events, unpredictable outcomes. And while you're focused there, you neglect what actually matters. Your thoughts, your actions, your discipline, the only domain you truly own. So take it back. Reclaim your focus. Reclaim your time. Reclaim your standards. Because standards define your life, not goals. Goals are intentions. Standards are commitments. And right now, your standards are too low. You tolerate inconsistency. You accept mediocrity. You justify delay. Raise them immediately, not gradually. Decide that certain behaviors are no longer acceptable, and then enforce it, without exception. That's how identity shifts, not through hope, but through decision backed by action. Now here's something most people won't tell you. Discipline will feel like loss. First, you'll feel like you're missing out, on comfort, on ease, on distraction. But what you're actually losing is weakness, and weakness is expensive. Costs you your future, so let it go, fully, without looking back, because you cannot build a new life while clinging to old habits. It doesn't work. Something must be sacrificed, and that something is the version of you that refuses to grow. Kill it, not symbolically, but practically, through action, through discipline, through control. Now pause. Look at your life again, without excuses, without distortion. What do you see? Is this who you intended to become? Or is this the result of neglect? Be honest, because truth is your only weapon now. And you need it sharp, because what comes next requires precision. You are going to build control, not in theory, but in reality, step by step, moment by moment, starting with the smallest decisions. You wake up, you move immediately. No delay, no scrolling, no hesitation. That's control. You begin your work. You focus. No switching. No distraction. That's control. You feel resistance. You continue. That's control. You want to quit. You don't. That's control. Simple, but brutal, because it requires consistency. And consistency exposes who you really are. Not who you pretend to be, but who you are when it's difficult, when it's boring, when nobody is watching. That's the test. And most people fail it, not because they can't pass, but because they don't commit fully. They leave room for excuses, room for negotiation, room for weakness, and that space becomes their downfall. You won't do that. Not anymore, because now you understand. Control is not optional. It's foundational. Without it, nothing else stands. Not success, not confidence, not respect. Everything collapses. So you build it relentlessly, and you protect it at all costs, because once you gain control, you gain power, not over others, but over yourself. And that is the highest form of power. Unshakable, unbreakable, silent, and rare. Most people will never reach it. They will continue reacting, continuing drifting, continuing wasting. But you've seen the truth. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. So now you have a choice. Return to comfort, or rise into control. There is no third option. And whatever you choose will define you, not later, now. Because identity is not built in the future. It is built in the present moment, with every decision you make. So choose carefully, choose deliberately, choose discipline, and then prove it, not once, but again, and again, and again, until it becomes who you are. Until control is no longer something you practice, but something you embody. And when that happens, everything changes. Your focus sharpens, your actions align, your results compound, and your life finally moves forward. But don't celebrate yet, because the work never ends. Control is not a destination. It's a constant practice, a daily commitment, a lifelong discipline. And the moment you relax, you slip. So stay sharp, stay aware, stay disciplined, because the world is full of distractions, and it will test you again and again and again. But now you are ready. Now you are different. Now you are in control, or at least you're becoming it. And that's where power begins. We're still not done. Now slow down and actually absorb this, because the difference between hearing these words and becoming them will decide whether your life changes or stays exactly where it is. You've spent years reacting to everything around you, letting circumstances dictate your emotions, letting distractions shape your days, and then wondering why nothing feels stable or controlled. That confusion is not accidental. It is the direct result of a mind that has never been trained to hold its ground when pressure appears. And pressure will always appear. The Stoics understood this deeply, far beyond surface-level motivation, far beyond temporary discipline, because they trained themselves to remain steady while everything around them shifted. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly that the obstacle is not the problem, but the way you interpret it becomes the problem. You, however, have been interpreting everything as resistance instead of opportunity, as inconvenience instead of training, as struggle instead of preparation. That perspective is weakening you, not slowly, but consistently, because every time you label something as too much or too hard, you are programming your mind to retreat instead of advance. And retreat becomes your default. That is how control is lost. Not in one dramatic moment, but in repeated small decisions where you chose ease over effort, comfort over growth, and distraction over discipline. You didn't notice it happening because it felt normal. But normal is dangerous. Normal is staying stuck. Normal is accepting less than what you are capable of becoming. And if you keep following what feels normal, you will never reach anything extraordinary. That is the truth most people avoid. Because breaking out of normal requires discomfort, and discomfort exposes weakness, and weakness is something you have been avoiding instead of confronting. But avoidance is a slow destruction. Seneca spoke about how people fear effort more than they fear regret, even though regret is far more painful and permanent. Look at your own life. How many times have you avoided something difficult, only to feel worse later? How many times have you chosen short-term comfort, only to experience long-term frustration? That pattern is not coincidence. It is conditioning, and you built it, which means you can destroy it, but only if you are willing to stop lying to yourself about where you actually stand. Because right now, you are not lacking opportunity. You are lacking control. Control over your time, control over your attention, control over your impulses. And without those, nothing else matters. You can have talent, ideas, even ambition, but if you cannot direct your actions consistently, all of that becomes wasted potential. Potential is one of the most dangerous illusions. It makes you feel capable without requiring proof. It gives you the comfort of possibility without the burden of execution. And you have been living inside that illusion, telling yourself that you could do more, that you will do more, that you are meant for more. But none of that exists in reality. Only what you do exists. Only what you execute counts. Everything else is noise. Epictetus made this clear when he taught that you are not what you say or think, but what you repeatedly do. That is the standard. And if you measure yourself honestly against it, the truth becomes uncomfortable. Because your actions are inconsistent. Your focus is unstable. Your discipline is conditional. You act when it feels right, and you hesitate when it feels difficult. That is not control. That is dependence on emotion. And emotion is unreliable. It changes constantly. It rises and falls without warning. If your actions depend on it, your progress will always be unstable. So the shift is simple but brutal. You stop asking yourself how you feel, and you start asking yourself what must be done. And then you do it, without delay, without negotiation, without internal debate. Because every second you spend debating with yourself is a second where weakness has the opportunity to win. And weakness is persuasive. It will sound reasonable. It will justify delay. It will suggest comfort. It will make quitting feel logical. That is why most people lose. Not because they are incapable, but because they listen. You have been listening. That is why you are here. Not at your highest level, not at your full potential, but somewhere in between, stuck in a cycle of knowing more than you execute. That ends when you stop listening to weakness and start commanding action. Because control is command. It is the ability to give yourself an instruction and follow it immediately. No hesitation, no resistance, no delay. That level of obedience to your own standards is rare. But it is what separates those who build something from those who keep talking about it. And right now, you are standing at that line. On one side is who you have been, undisciplined, distracted, reactive. On the other side is who you could become, focused, controlled, unshakable. But you do not cross that line with intention. You cross it with action. Repeated, consistent, disciplined action. And that is where most people fail because consistency is not exciting. It is repetitive. It is quiet. It is often boring. And people crave stimulation. They want intensity. They want quick results. They want visible progress. But real growth does not work like that. It builds slowly, beneath the surface, through repetition that feels insignificant in the moment but becomes powerful over time. Like a blade being sharpened again and again until it becomes dangerous. That is what you are doing now. Or at least what you should be doing. Sharpening your mind. Sharpening your discipline. Sharpening your control. Every day. Without needing recognition. Without needing validation. Because the work itself is the reward. The transformation itself is the proof. And once you begin to see that, your entire perspective shifts. You stop chasing outcomes. You start mastering processes. You stop focusing on results. You start focusing on actions. Because actions are within your control. Results are not. That is one of the deepest Stoic principles, and one of the most ignored. You cannot guarantee success, but you can guarantee effort. You cannot control outcomes, but you can control behavior. And when your behavior is consistent, disciplined, and focused, results become a byproduct. Not something you chase, but something you create. That is power. Not loud, not visible at first, but real. And once you build it, it cannot be taken from you. Because it is internal. It is who you are, not what you have. So stop measuring yourself by external validation. Stop waiting for recognition. Stop seeking approval. None of that builds control. It weakens it, because it makes your actions dependent on others. And the moment your motivation depends on something outside of you, you lose authority over yourself. Take it back, fully. Decide that your standards are not negotiable. Decide that your discipline is not optional. Decide that your focus is not for sale. And then live according to that decision. Not occasionally, but consistently, because consistency is where identity is formed. And identity is what sustains behavior, not motivation, not emotion. Identity. You do what you believe you are. So if you still see yourself as someone who quits, who delays, who avoids, your actions will follow that belief. Change the belief through action, through proof, through discipline, until there is no doubt left, until you no longer question whether you will act, because acting has become automatic. That is control at its highest level, and it is available to you, not in theory, not in some distant future, but right now, in the next decision you make, in the next action you take, in the next moment where you either follow through or fall back. That moment is everything, because life is built in moments, not in years, not in plans, but in the decisions you make repeatedly. So the question remains, who are you going to be in this moment? The version that hesitates, or the one that executes? Choose carefully, then act immediately, because control is not something you talk about. It is something you demonstrate, again and again, until there is no other version of you left. Now you're no longer just listening, you're standing at the edge of something most people avoid their entire lives. The point where truth becomes responsibility and awareness demands action. Because once you see clearly, you lose the right to remain the same. You can no longer hide behind ignorance. You can no longer pretend you don't know what must be done. And that is where pressure begins to build, not from the outside, but from within, because your mind now recognizes the gap between who you are and who you could be. That gap is tension. And tension, if used correctly, becomes transformation. But if ignored, it becomes regret. Marcus Aurelius wrote about this internal war, describing how the mind must stand firm against impulses that try to pull it away from its duty. You are in that war right now, not with the world, but with yourself. One part of you wants growth, discipline, control, and purpose. The other wants comfort, ease, distraction, and escape. And every day those two forces compete, not loudly, but constantly, in your decisions, in your habits, in your reactions. The outcome of that conflict defines your life. Not talent, not luck, not external conditions, just the result of which side you feed more consistently. Right now, if you are honest, you have been feeding the weaker side. You've been strengthening the version of yourself that avoids effort, that delays action, that seeks comfort even when it costs you progress. And the longer you feed that version, the stronger it becomes, until it dominates you, until it decides for you, until control is no longer yours. That is how people lose themselves, gradually, quietly, without realizing it until it is too late. But here is the shift. You can reverse it, not with emotion, not with motivation, but with discipline applied consistently over time. Because discipline starves weakness. Every time you act despite resistance, you weaken the part of you that wants to quit. Every time you follow through, you strengthen the part of you that leads. And eventually the balance shifts. The disciplined version becomes dominant. The controlled version becomes natural. But that only happens if you are willing to endure the early phase, where everything feels difficult, where every action requires effort, where your mind resists almost everything you try to do. That phase is necessary. It is the forging process. And most people quit there, because they mistake difficulty for failure. But difficulty is proof that you are changing. It is proof that you are stepping outside of your old patterns. And old patterns do not disappear easily. They fight back. They pull you toward what is familiar, even if what is familiar is keeping you stuck. Epictetus made it clear that no man is free who is not master of himself. Read that again. Freedom is not external. It is internal. If you cannot control your impulses, your reactions, your habits, then you are not free no matter how your life looks on the outside. You are controlled by urges, by distractions, by weakness, and control is the only path to freedom. Not partial control, not occasional discipline, but complete authority over your actions. That is the standard, and it is high, higher than what most people are willing to accept. But you are not most people, at least not anymore, because you are choosing to face this. You are choosing to see clearly, and that choice separates you immediately. Now the question is whether you will follow through, because seeing the truth is one thing, living it is another, and living it requires sacrifice. You will have to give up habits that feel comfortable. You will have to let go of distractions that you enjoy. You will have to distance yourself from environments that keep you stagnant. And that will not feel good, but it will be necessary. Seneca spoke about how a person must decide what they truly value, because trying to hold onto everything leads to losing what matters most. Right now, you are trying to hold onto comfort and growth at the same time. That is why you feel stuck, because they are moving in opposite directions. Growth requires discomfort. Comfort prevents growth. You cannot have both. So decide, not emotionally, but practically, through your actions. What are you willing to give up in order to move forward? Because something must go. And the longer you delay that decision, the longer you remain where you are. Time does not pause for your hesitation. Continues, relentlessly, indifferently, and every moment you waste is gone permanently. That is not meant to create fear. It is meant to create urgency, because urgency drives action, and action creates change. Without urgency, you drift. You delay. You postpone. And postponement becomes your identity. You become someone who is always about to start, but never does. That version of you must end. Completely. Not gradually. Not partially. But decisively. Because partial commitment leads to partial results. And partial results will never satisfy you. You know that. You feel that. That is why you are here. Because something inside you refuses to accept average. Refuses to settle. Refuses to remain in a state of unrealized potential. That resistance is valuable, but only if you act on it. Otherwise, it becomes frustration. And frustration without action turns into resentment. Resentment toward yourself, toward your situation, toward your life. And that is a dangerous place to be, because once resentment builds, it clouds judgment. It weakens discipline. It makes you reactive. And reaction is the opposite of control. So you must act before that happens. You must take responsibility fully, not partially, not selectively, but completely. Everything in your life right now is a reflection of your past actions. Not fate, not luck, not other people. Your actions. And if that truth is uncomfortable, good. Because it means you understand something important. If your actions created your current situation, then your actions can change it. That is power. Real power. Not dependent on external conditions. Not limited by circumstances, but rooted in your ability to choose and act. And that ability is always available, even when things are difficult, especially when things are difficult, because difficulty reveals character. It shows you who you really are, not who you pretend to be when things are easy, but who you are when pressure is applied. That is the test, and it is ongoing, every day, in every decision. So stop waiting for a perfect moment. Stop waiting for clarity. Stop waiting for motivation. None of those are required. Only action is required. And action is always available. Right now, in this moment, you can choose to move, or you can choose to delay. And that choice will either reinforce discipline or strengthen weakness. There is no neutral outcome. Every decision matters. Every action counts. Even the small ones, especially the small ones, because they are repeated. and repetition builds identity. You don't become disciplined through one act. You become disciplined through hundreds of consistent actions that align with your standards. That is how transformation happens. Slowly, quietly, but permanently. And once it happens, it changes everything. Your thinking becomes clearer. Your focus becomes sharper. Your actions become intentional. Your life becomes directed. Not random, not reactive, but controlled. And control brings stability. Stability brings confidence. Confidence brings momentum. And momentum creates results. That is the chain. And it starts with one thing: control. So build it, protect it, strengthen it daily. Because once you have it, everything else becomes possible. Not easy, but possible. And that is all you need. Now understand this final shift. You are not trying to become perfect. Perfection is not the goal. Control is, because perfection is unrealistic. But control is attainable. It is built moment by moment, decision by decision, action by action. And once you commit to that process, you remove the pressure of perfection and replace it with the discipline of consistency. That is sustainable. That is powerful. And that is what will carry you forward when motivation fades, when emotions fluctuate, when challenges appear. Because they will. Always. That is life. But now you are different. Now you are aware. Now you are responsible. And now you are capable of something most people never achieve. Self-mastery. So prove it. Not to anyone else, but to yourself. Through action. Through discipline. Through control. Starting now. And continuing every single day. Without exception. Without excuse. Without hesitation. Because this is who you are becoming. Not someone who talks. Not someone who plans. But someone who executes. Relentlessly. Silently. Effectively. Until there is no doubt left. Until your actions speak louder than anything you could ever say. And when that happens, you won't need motivation anymore. Because you will have something far more powerful. Control. Now listen carefully. Because this is where everything either locks in or falls apart. You've heard the truth. Not the comfortable version. Not the motivational lie. The real one. The one that exposes you. The one that forces you to see what you've been avoiding. And now you're standing at a line most people never cross. Not because they can't, but because they won't. Because stepping forward means responsibility. It means discipline. It means giving up the version of yourself that kept you safe, but small. And that's the part that scares you. Not the work, not the effort, but the identity shift. Because once you decide to become someone who is controlled, focused, and disciplined, there is no going back. No more excuses. No more delays. No more pretending you didn't know. You know now. And that knowledge comes with weight. Because from this moment forward, every action you take will either align with who you're becoming or expose that you chose to stay the same. Let that hit you. Feel the pressure of that truth. Because that pressure is not here to break you. It's here to build you. If you stop running from it. If you stop numbing it. If you finally face it. Because deep down, you are tired. Not physically, mentally. Tired of starting and stopping. Tired of making promises you don't keep. Tired of knowing you're capable of more, but not seeing it in your life. That frustration, that silent anger, that's not weakness. That's awareness trying to wake you up. And right now, you have two choices. You can close this video, go back to comfort, and repeat the same cycle that's been holding you down. Or you can do something different, something uncomfortable, something real. You can act immediately, not later, not tomorrow, now. Because the longer you wait, the weaker your decision becomes. And you've waited long enough. You've delayed long enough. You've watched enough, consumed enough, planned enough. Now it's time to become, not gradually, but decisively. This is the moment where you stop being a spectator in your own life and start becoming the one in control. And understand this clearly. Nobody is coming to push you. Nobody is coming to remind you. Nobody is coming to save you. It's you. Only you. And that's not a limitation. That's power. Because it means everything changes the moment you decide. Not when the world changes. Not when conditions improve. But when you do. Right here. Right now. So take a breath. Not to relax, but to lock in. Because what you do after this matters more than anything you've heard. If this message hit you, if you felt exposed, if something inside you shifted, then don't ignore it. Act on it. And if you're someone who refuses to stay average, someone who is ready to build control, discipline, and real power, then subscribe. Not casually, not passively, but as a commitment to the version of yourself you're stepping into. Because this isn't entertainment. This is transformation. And if you're here for that, you belong here. Now I want you to do something simple. Comment one word. Control. Not for me, for you. As a line in the sand. As a declaration. As proof that you're not just watching, you're deciding. And when you type it, mean it. Because empty words won't change you. But backed by action, they become identity. Now look at your screen. There's a video waiting for you. That next video isn't random. It's the next step, the next layer, the next challenge. And if you're serious about this, you don't stop here. You continue. Because consistency starts now, not later. So don't hesitate. Don't overthink. Click it and keep building. Also, if this hit you harder than you expected, if it forced you to see something real, then like this video, not for approval, but as a signal that this message matters, a signal that you're done with surface-level thinking, and share it, not with everyone, but with the one person you know is stuck, the one who needs this truth but won't go looking for it. Because sometimes, one message at the right time changes everything, and maybe this is that moment, for you, or for someone else. But don't ignore it, because moments like this don't come often, and when they do, they demand a response. So respond, with action, with discipline, with control, because from this point forward, you are no longer the same person who started this video. That version is gone, replaced by someone aware, someone responsible, someone capable. Now prove it. Not tomorrow, not later. Now, get up, take control, and don't look back.